Hello guys and welcome back to DR Sports. We're here today for a very special discussion discussing all things Mbappe. The Mbappe madness has taken over this week. And listen, it's only right we kind of sit down and kind of break this gigantic move or potential news down. But joining me, I've got Laurie today and our resident PSG man, Stuart. How are you both? You good?
Putting in work, man. I just did a live stream for the boxing. I'm not sure if you're a boxing fan, but there was a big fight that took place earlier today in Japan. Naoya Inoue, he was stepping up in weight to fight a guy called Stephen Fulton from America. Naoya Inoue won. Very impressive performance. So that's how I've been spending my time this morning. But I'm looking forward to this show, man.
That's an interesting transition because Japan, where PSG is in Japan at the moment, doing the Japan tour. They played against Al Nassr today, the Ronaldo team. It was a 0-0, dead game actually. And Mbappe was supposed to be part of the trip.
Yeah.
And for some reason
wasn't called up, of course. And the reason, of course, is Al Hilal have put a world record 300 million euro, which is 259 million pounds, for Kylian Mbappe. And PSG are said to have accepted the player, and now it's down to the player. As a PSG fan, what has this week been like for you personally?
Where to start? It's the same stuff every year, kind of. It's a Netflix TV show, like House of Cards. Like everyone is trying to influence everyone, etc. So from a PSG fan perspective, I think it's a mistake from the club, and Mbappe's behavior is a bit dodgy as well. The club now wants to behave like an institution. Suddenly, that we saw it with Messi as well. What we've done with Messi. The contract of Mbappe is a bit of a tricky one, because at the end of the season, I don't know who has drafted this contract, but that is a madness. Like this loyalty clause of 60 million euros as well. We'll talk about this in a second, but there's a game going on around this, because obviously they're pushing him to leave. As soon as he's saying publicly that he's going to leave and he wants to leave, then they are in a position to not pay for the 60 million euros for the loyalty clause as well. So there's this in the background as well. So we need to think about this. It's a lot of money as well. We're a bit mad against Mbappe because obviously taking that picture with 2025 at the back, that we had the impression that we knew it was a year extra in option, and it was not a settled, done and dusted deal until 2025. But to communicate around this, we had the impression that he was staying for 3 years. Yeah. Now he's staying for 2 years, contractually, legally, that's fine. He's just honoring his contract. But obviously, you cannot get rid of Mbappe on a free transfer. That is not going to happen. Now PSG is like, we need to get some money out of it. Yeah. So now there's this deal with the Saudis. PSG wants to sanction Mbappe as well if he's not willing to go this summer. So
what does that mean?
That means they're going to put him in a loft. Yeah. They started this last season. They have this kind of thing that is called a loft, where all the players they want to get rid of, they're paying a lot of money, a lot of salary for. That don't want to leave, they put them in the loft. Kurzawa, Draxler, all of them.
100%.
They are not part of the group, and they train separately. Yes. So now what they want to do, and we saw it with the Japan tour, he stayed in Paris when the other guys went to Japan. So that's what they want to do if he's not willing to accept a deal this summer.
With that happening now, is it safe to say this kind of Galactico era of what PSG have been trying to brand the past, since the takeover has happened, let's be honest, every year it's been whether from the Zlatans, the Cavani's, to all of a sudden you felt like it ramped up when Neymar arrived. Then Mbappe was almost like, we've secured the next generation. Then Messi came and it was like, we finally unlocked. Is this summer almost like the breaking down of all that and PSG going back to basics, should we say?
Could well be, but I'll tell you what it says to me is that we're about to enter a new era in football. And like it or love it, a lot of people out there have their misgivings and reservations. What we're seeing now is unprecedented in football. We're about to enter a new era, the Saudi Arabia era. Yeah. And if Mbappe goes, as I expect he will, as I think he will, as I think he should go, actually, and I'll explain that later, this will be seismic for football. And listen, I know PSG fans will be a little bit upset. I know, Stuart, we spoke off camera about the 2025 thing, but I've said all along, football at the top flight is not necessarily a long-term thing. It moves, there's ebb and flow, shifting patterns. And the prime example of that is what we've seen with Saudi Arabia and the money. No one could have foreseen this. This type of money is not even been thought of before. You know, and here we are now.
1 billion in total, actually. With
so in a way, I kind of feel, and some people will say, why would you feel sorry for PSG? Because at the end of the day, this is a money team. This is a money story as well. But I kind of feel a little bit sorry for him. You had a dream. Mbappe was at the forefront of that, along with Messi and Neymar. It's all gone horribly wrong. The script's been torn up.
Does there feel like an L is being taken on PSG's kind of behalf? Because you're almost recouping what you've paid for Mbappe. Yep. He's come in, he's become your record goal scorer. Yep. You've got to a Champions League final. Yep. You've broken new boundaries that you haven't before he came. So is this really kind of just you recouping your money and just kind of seeing, do you know what, we're now starting a new era? Or is it kind of you feel like a lot more could have definitely been done with the kind of talent you've had over the past
I don't think a lot more could have been done. I don't think with the ownership that we have and the strategy that they had, the marketing stuff behind it, there was no real football strategy, even with all those big talented players anyway. So I don't think we could have done more, even with the squad that we had. So the minimum we need to have back is that kind of money from Mbappe.
Yeah.
So I understand the position of the club that they don't want to get rid of him on a free. And Mbappe is a bit playing with this, and he's the one in a strong position right now, because apparently it's kind of done and dusted with Real Madrid. They know that they can have him on a free next season, and is allegedly there's already a deal in place with them.
Yeah, they've already agreed terms supposedly with Real Madrid.
He knows that in 2025 he will go to Real Madrid, and the Saudi deal is only a 1-year contract. If it was more than 1 year, I would have said, that's a tricky one, because you're going to go for the money and you will give up on your dream to play for Real Madrid, which is not the case. If he's taking that opportunity, that he does not give up on his dream to play for Real Madrid. So, and if he does not go, then what's going to happen to him? He's going to be in the loft and not play the entire season and be with the guys, not with the first group.
There's no way that happens, is there?
That's what they're threatening.
Do you genuinely believe that if the Saudi move doesn't happen now, for example, if Real Madrid don't come in and make that bid, that you're telling me there's a possibility PSG could sit Mbappe on the bench for an entire season?
Not an entire season necessarily, but at least sanction him a lot in terms of time of play.
I think the best player in the world.
Remember, Fuad, they lack those owners. They're lacking authority for the past 10 years.
But is now the time all of a sudden to start throwing that authority? Is that almost not overcompensating?
I don't think it is. But they have the impression that they're trying to compensate and try to prove something to the fans as well. Don't get me wrong.
It does send a strong message.
This kind of authority, because that shows you that there's no player above the institution, above the badge, above the club. But we craving for this since the beginning anyway. And what they've done, the owners, is to show the exact opposite for the past 10 years. And now suddenly we have the most talented player in the world, and you want to use him as an example, like they've done with Messi as well. And I think the timing is really wrong. And I think they're going to stick to it if he's not going, because that's a lot of money they're not going to have, they're going to miss out on. But on the other end, there is this, I don't know if you heard about the UNFP, it's a trade union for footballers in France, that are now threatening PSG of legal action, of impeaching Mbappe of his right to work, because it will impact the national team as well if PSG sanction him.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, there's no way you let the France 2 days captain ago, just freeze
they went after PSG, threatening PSG that if you guys were doing this, then we will take legal action against you.
I think with PSG, it's starting to look like the owners, they've got a little bit of egg on their face, and they're responding in a way that's a bit petulant, if you ask me. Because to me, the move, I don't know, from an outside looking in, I'm speaking as an outsider, you're more aware of the nuances and the intricacies of PSG than I am. So I'm not going to pretend that I'm an expert in any way, shape or form. But from the outside looking in, it would appear to me that him going to Saudi kind of suits everybody in a way.
Yes, agreed.
It suits PSG, is that you've got this problem off your hands. And like you said, if you let him stay for a year, you have to let him go to Madrid on a free.
Exactly.
So you let him go, you get the 259 million, you made a little profit on that. You can use that to build for the, let's face it, a new era, next generation.
Exactly. 100%.
Mbappe, he gets to do his thing. He gets his Real Madrid.
And then goes Real Madrid.
Gets, so there's 3 parties out there that all get what they want, really. So I don't understand what the
issue is. Well, the
real issue. I can see I was suspecting
that was a control move from PSG to kind of trigger a high offer to push Real Madrid to pay good money, the money that they want this summer, instead of a free transfer.
So you think it could
Apparently
be a PR move on
the
PSG's
conversations
behalf?
have started again with Real Madrid because of the Saudi offer. So I don't know if now Real Madrid is in a rush to sign Mbappe, but I think they want to push this as well.
Some would even say, is it maybe a PR move on Mbappe's behalf, where maybe he wants to get in the good books of Real Madrid, where he looks like he's rejecting the deal of a lifetime, essentially.
Yes.
So he can kind of, because remember, he rejected them last year, and it was almost like, how dare you turn us away type of thing. And it's like, now it's almost...
But it seemed at that point he was trying to prove his loyalty to PSG.
And rightly so. But the thing is now it's 12 months later, and how does that kind of loyalty look? And I'll ask you now, over the past couple of years, since Mbappe has come in till now, he'll obviously leave your record goal scorer.
Yes.
But how will he be remembered at PSG? Will he be remembered as a legend?
If he leaves like that, on a free transfer to Real Madrid... he's not going to be remembered. He's going to, I'd say, mixed feelings, because you always remember the way the player is leaving the club. You know what I mean? That even if he's done a lot of good things for us, we don't want him to leave like that. He cannot do us like that. Like, come on, we need some money. You cannot leave on a free.
So your preferred move would actually for him to take this Saudi move
100%.
then?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
100%.
The Saudi move, to me anyway,
100%.
as I said, as an outsider looking in, I'm not aware of the intricacies of the deal, but it seems to make sense on pretty much everybody's level. Okay, you got a little bit of egg on your face because the project that you had in mind for Mbappe, you said yourself for the 2025, and, you know what I mean? At the time, it was, man, they
gave him the keys of the kingdom, he's the
best player in the world, and Messi,
agreed.
and it's not quite worked out. I understand that.
What does it say about football, though, when the best player in the world can just be cherry-picked like that? From essentially a growing league, expanding league, is the Saudi Arabian money, is it good for football or is it bad for football? What do you think?
There's good and bad in it. Bad because there's another league man out there that's a serious player now, whether we want to admit it or not. And I would say good from a global sense is that in that part of the world now, these guys are serious players. Because let's face it, if Mbappe goes, you've just signed the best player in the world. It's not like before. Myself and Stuart were talking earlier about China and places like that. When they were signing players, when they were doing their thing, to be fair, they weren't getting the top players. But, you see more and more with the Saudi Arabian project, they're getting players in their prime, and they don't come any bigger than Mbappe.
Exactly.
So this is a seismic coup for them.
So you think it's mostly you don't mind the money coming in as long as it's kind of expanding the game?
It's always been about money. I did a show with you yesterday, and I mentioned it on the show that if you look at all the leagues that have been prominent, Serie A, La Liga, Premier League, and now we're in Saudi Arabia. What's underpinned that? What's been the common denominator? Money.
Is it an issue that they're saying, some of the doubters are saying, for example, the money coming in is, the clubs buying these players are essentially 4 clubs and they're being all backed by the same government. Is that really creating competition in that league? Now, in my opinion, I would like to think players are still players. You're still competing. You still want to win. So a lot of these players there are going into an expansive, a new league, essentially, and they're able to create a bit of history, if you like. So there's going to be that natural rivalry and competition, despite the ownership, if that makes sense. I think, from me, I do understand some of those doubts, but I still think it's, for me, a new avenue, a new market to tap into. I feel like football, we always say, is this global game, but I really don't feel like it is. I feel like it's marketed that way to make it look like, everybody in the world. Not everybody in the world watches football, but I think Europe are the ones where it's kind of really focused on. Europe, I feel like, has dominated the African and South American markets for however many years and exploited that.
Agreed.
And now it's kind of, the tables have been turned a little bit, and I'm just like, I don't know, personally, I don't have an issue with it, and I think a lot of the times people are kind of choosing to being selective about when they're choosing their moral high moments, and I'm like, I don't know, all of a sudden now it seems like it's an issue. For me,
let's be
as you said, football, the bottom line has always been about money.
That's what underpins
so many times.
The Premier League is all about money, mate. Look at Saudis, they're injecting money in Newcastle, etc.
And so many times, even
the
the Americans and the Russians who've come in and things like that.
Of course.
People have had issues with those ownerships as well, and made issues about it. But it seems like the noise just seems to be a little bit more now because they're gazumping Europe, essentially. They're eating off, as we said, picking off the best players there. So do you think it's good or bad?
I think if we only talk about the Mbappe situation, if it was a more than a 1-year deal, I would have said he would. We were talking about the Fofana at Al Nassr, a choice, the last player that played against us today, right?
Seko.
We did not really understand his move to Al Nassr because he's a quality player.
They just
he was at his prime.
Champions League.
Yeah, he could have played for a top-level European club. And he decided, it's a good example, by the way, the Fofana case, because he went for the Saudi option at his prime. Now we have Mbappe at his prime going to a Saudi club. Not necessarily, the money obviously, don't get me wrong, is attractive, obviously, but if it's just a 1-year deal and he's not going to ruin his career by spending more time in the Saudi league, people will accept it more.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if we know he's going to go with Real Madrid eventually. So 1 year, take your money. PSG is getting his money as well. Then you go on a free to Real Madrid. Happy days. Everyone is happy.
It's essentially a win-win-win for everyone. Agreed. It seems like
that's how I saw it initially.
Because I also said, even with the Saudi league now, I feel like European clubs and Premier League clubs have essentially got a new lease of life with the ability to offload some of these players that they haven't wanted. So now it's almost like, all right, because that's always been the issue at Premier League clubs, is sometimes some of these players are on such inflated wages that it's like, oh, how do I offload a Harry Maguire? How do I offload a Nicolas Pepe?
Agreed.
Do you know what? Finally, that's a new
Saudi
league. And over there, they'll be star dogs, you know what I mean? They'll be big boys over there. So it's like, it's a new avenue. So even the European clubs that we're saying are losing, in some cases, like their Nevez's, their top talents, the Milinkovic Savages in their primes, there's pros and cons to everything, I feel like.
Absolutely.
But I would love to see in the comments kind of your thoughts and your kind of arguments on whether you think this is good, whether you think
Quickly, can I have your thought on the Fofana move?
On the Fofana move, to be fair, I see that similarly to the Zaha one. I felt like Zaha should have gone, like yesterday we were discussing, it should have gone to Saudi. One final payday, you've done your loyalty years almost. And sometimes I think players just want to win. So Zaha said, you know what, I'm still in the peak of my career. I want to go and win. So he went Galatasaray.
I'm wondering though, with Zaha,
Seko Fofana has just gone the other route, is what I feel like. He's just gone, do you know what? I might not win silverware or whatever, but I'm happy to take care of my family for the rest of my life. And I'll be honest with you, I don't mind either way you go for me. It all depends on how you see yourself and how you want your legacy to be remembered. Seko Fofana will now be remembered for that 2-year, 3-year blip for Lens, and it's like, what could have been? Whereas Zaha now, if he goes and does something incredible at Galatasaray, it's like, oh, Drogba Part 2. Zaha, this is what he's deserved, the Super League title and all this. So I kind of respect that aspect, but more, in my opinion, the competitive aspect than the kind of easy financial route.
I do think, though, that if they can snag Mbappe, I do think that will open the doors for a lot more players to go.
It's a real needle mover, isn't it?
Yeah. Game changer.
Because when Ronaldo went, you thought, okay, but this one,
and Ronaldo,
seismic.
And Ronaldo said, you know, I influenced a lot of these guys to come over, but I think this is the kind of move where you just really think, if he's gone over there,
game changer.
And as I said yesterday, it doesn't always have to be even at the end of your career. It could be like the new MLS, I said.
I was about to mention
players
the
could
MLS,
be 23, 24. Haaland just says, all right, I've won the treble with City. Before I go off to La Liga, how about I spend 1 year in the Saudi League as well?
Out,
boom, cash out. And
that's it.
You can see the type of money that's being flown around. I think it was 13 million a week.
And then if you want
13 million a week.
You can join a European club, reduce your salary, you won't have any issues with that.
We've just had a World Cup in that region of the world that was very well hosted.
100%. And that's what I said earlier. It's a new growing market.
Don't underestimate these guys in terms of what they're doing, because I don't think they're just throwing money at the project. And
they have a long-term plan.
I think there's a medium to long-term plan. Definitely the medium plan, I think, is they've obviously got the 2030 World Cup bid. So I think I saw reports yesterday saying they're going to invest 17 billion into the Saudi Pro League up until 2030. So it's not like
could be one of the
China,
fastest growing football markets in the world. When
absolutely,
you think about
but it's not like China where we saw that kind of 2-3 year burst and then all the cash is withdrawn from a government. These guys have committed to it, and because we know that World Cup at 2030 still coming.
Exactly.
It's not going anywhere.
And let's be honest, right? When the Qatar World Cup was muted, pretty much everybody I saw was negative towards it, weren't they? So it had even people like me thinking, well, there's no real football history in that part of the world.
And by the end of the tournament?
By the end of the tournament, I was saying it's the best tournament I've seen in my lifetime.
Voila. There you go.
So who's to say they can't replicate that at the league level?
They can.
So it'll be interesting to see. But listen, guys, I appreciate you joining me for this discussion. Guys, I want to get your thoughts as well. Let me know where you think Mbappe will end up. How will he be remembered at PSG? I want to know, do you think the Saudi money is good or bad for football as well? Give us all your kind of talking points and let us know your thoughts. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel as well. We've got plenty more stuff coming up. A lot of live shows and streams as well. We'll take care. See you next time.